into our last presentation here with Miss Emily Decou from Amplify Cayman. And then if folks would like to stay on, we can take some questions for Katie or Rob or Emily, if that's okay for everyone. We also have Mr. Timothy Adam, who's going to be talking about OTEC. I don't know how we're going to be able to deal with all of this as far as the time goes, but Emily, I will leave it in your more than capable hands to take it away here.
Thank you so much, Eden. I really appreciate it. And I want to say a huge thank you to Cayman Connection for hosting these really awesome collaborative meetings. It's really, we're really grateful to be able to discuss our initiatives within Amplify Cayman, which feed into both of today's topics. So as Eden mentioned, my name is Emily Decou. I'm a sustainability advocate from the Cayman Islands. I am a member and contributor of Amplify Cayman, which is a local grassroots organization which seeks to amplify the needs and goals of the Cayman community to the ears of policy and decision makers. We started as a sort of offshoot from the cruise port referendum movement, where the persons who started that movement recognized that there was a strong need in the Cayman community to empower citizens to participate in their own democracy and have the full picture of the facts when it comes to decisions that government makes, which may affect our environment and thusly ourselves. So with that, we were born out of the CPR movement, headed up by some of the same advocates who were part of that movement. And we really just strongly advocate for sustainable solutions. And our members are, we're all putting our professions to the greater good, using our skills and our expertise and our standing in the community, using our networking to bring sustainable solutions to, like I said, the ears of policy and decision makers through what we understand are the needs of the community, through whether it be community outreach and then sharing data with government as an example through community surveys. That's one way that we assist and do our part best we can to contribute to the conversation and be a stakeholder in the conversation when it comes to transitioning the Cayman Islands to a carbon neutral economy. It's really today's topic about waste is something that we recognize is really important when it comes to modernizing our waste and consumption practices as a community and as a planet, quite frankly. We have a lot of different countries in the world who are advanced in their practices, and we can certainly take heed. And I'm really pleased that Cayman is evolving, and I'll be able to see it in my lifetime that we're going from a mound of garbage to a properly managed facility. That's all my life. All I've known is the dump. So, that's great. And going from my youth and seeing pristine beaches, not remembering garbage, not remembering sargassum, not remembering the fact that there was no beach due to erosion, not remembering the things that are affecting our beaches and our oceans. As in adulthood, I see a complete night and day switch from the ocean health, diving in my youth to diving 10, 15 years later as an adult. I can literally see the health of our environment change, and it's heartbreaking, and it pushes me to do my part and use my voice to advocate best I can, and inspire other people to do that as well and use their professions for the greater good, like I said. So with that being said, Amplify put together last year what we're calling the People's Sustainability Charter, and it seeks to give folks a bit of like a vocabulary really of how to hold their government accountable, how to understand what it is our government is subscribing to in terms of commitments that they've made, and empowering people to hold, like I said, their government accountable to those commitments when it comes to ensuring that the Cayman Islands lasts, quite frankly, long term for not only our generation, but the infinite number of generations to come. We really have to remember that it doesn't just end when we go. it will always keep going, and we have to leave something. We have to make sure that our resources are preserved so that they can be beneficial to those to come after us. Because I mean, it's all well and good to develop, but I can't pickaxe off of a cement building and feed my family, as an example. You know, but our role in the community is very multifaceted. We don't have any sort of one goal or direction. We really just seek to, in whatever way we can, get people involved in the conversation, contributing in a, you know, an effective way, because we really understand that in order to be effective in our communication, we have to have data. We have to have people who are confident in what they know, and that involves making sure that our peers, our country, our students, our youth are growing up and they're following a vision towards a greener Cayman. And whatever role that we can play in that as just community advocates, as members of Amplify, we will. You know, I've got so many notes that I've to touch on. So we also provide a platform through our social media to give the public an opportunity to contribute to that conversation outside of sort of official meetings with policy and decision makers, because we do take those you know, comments that we get on social media as support to government to say, hey, the community genuinely is expressing an interest. You know, there isn't a debate of should we do this or shouldn't we not. There is unlimited, you know, community support for the strategic policy statement and goals of our current government, for as an example. And we want to keep that ball going and making sure that, you know, everybody's sort of going in the same direction. Right now, it seems like there's a lot of different visions, and overall, if we can all get to one collective vision of ensuring that our country is preserved in a way that future generations can enjoy what we were blessed with, and through our ancestors having the foresight to, you know, understand that, you know, we can't chop down all the silver thatch trees, for example. We can't chop down, you know, mahogany trees. And that's not a great example, but, you know, they understood the need to ensure that resources were preserved because it went beyond just them. And so Amplify really does hope to help a bit of a cultural renaissance in Cayman as well when it comes to getting people to think differently. You know, just because the status quo is working, and that's a matter of debate personally, you know, we do need to get people thinking about a new normal. And if enough people are thinking of a new normal and over and over, they're you know, making decisions based on getting to that new normal, and we can empower people, whether it be through addressing the systems of change in individuals by empowering people and telling people, here's how you in your household can transition to less plastic use, for example. How can you modernize your waste and consumption practices is another example. But then going to the market change level, where it's addressing businesses. How do businesses cater to folks who want to make those changes in their life and make it accessible? Because it's really, that's a really key thing, is making these this infrastructure and these resources accessible to the majority. And currently, because there's no real sort of collective push for sustainable products to be the new norm, because of the intensity of whatever excuse, there is this continued furtherance of the problem, rather than making the just firm decision. Nothing packaged in plastic can be imported, as a very, you know, quote unquote radical example. Would lead to people's health. It's just, you know, we've been told things like that are a form of dictatorship, but quite frankly, we are of the view that inaction is also a form of dictatorship. Apathy and not acting in the best interests of our country, whether you're just you as a professional, whether you are in government, you must use your profession for the greater good. And we in Amplify hope to empower people, like I said, to do that, to take that step, because it is a huge step. I mean, you're completely changing your mindset to what you grew up with and understood into something that's new, and change is difficult for a lot of people, but we do hope to be a place that people can go to as a resource in any way, even if we don't have the answer, our network, undoubtedly we can get the answer, and we can get that conversation galvanized. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and run through the People's Sustainability Charter that Amplify put together. And
the meeting last year, the Oceans and Us, this was that it was actually one of the first places that this was publicly put forward in 2021 when we published.
That's right. That's right. So this wonderful image on our cover really encapsulates what went into the charter, which is a vision of intertwining our, sort of ancestral movement with modern technology to project our country sort of into a new future. As you can see in the picture, it's the hands of our Eden, his beautiful wife Judy, and his wonderful son Liam, holding a silver thatch rope, which was the basis of Cayman's economy for a very long time, was the export of silver thatch rope. And in the background, you see a lot of endemic species. I see birch tree, I see silver thatch, I see sea grape. And it just really is an image that we hope signifies the strength of unity in these common goals towards, like we're all talking about today, a greener and cleaner and healthier, happier Cayman. So in our charter, we talk about people-driven solutions. This is where it gets into understanding that common vision. We share a lot about the Sustainable Development Goals established by the United Nations, which the globe, if I'm not mistaken, has subscribed to reaching these by 2030, which is not far away at all. I mean, we have just a little over 7 years to end poverty, world hunger, and as it stands, we in Cayman, at the very least, like we're talking on today's call, we are struggling with things like single-use plastic ban. We're thankfully now in a pioneering stage, getting a very clear vision, as we heard from Hannah earlier from the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency, and is headed up by the Premier, who was the former Minister of Environment, excuse me. So very different, blooming.
Eden, I've just pausing there, everyone. I've just sent Emily a message about her sound, but perhaps Eden, you might be able to also chip in here. Since
Oh, sorry.
Your connection is stalling.
Oh no.
Your internet connection. I don't know if there's something that you can do as far as a modem position or anything like that. But I can. No,
I'm so sorry, guys. It's been giving me issues for days with this rain.
I know it happens.
If you can hear me, I can maybe stop sharing. That way it'll use, and I can share the charter for people to view themselves. But
maybe
in a nutshell,
maybe actually, if you cut your video feed, and not that we don't want to see you, but I think that will usually free up a little bit of bandwidth.
Let me try that. Thanks, Eden. So does that work a little bit better?
It seems to be.
Okay, great. So like I was saying, Amplify seeks to empower people to participate in their own democracy and support policies that are being furthered by government, and which feed into global commitments such as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the One Planet Living Principles, as an example. We strongly recognize that it is time to become a sustainable culture, by working together to pursue bold and innovative local, regional, and global regenerative projects for the common good is necessary. We need to invest in the business of restoration with reciprocity as the new status quo. Reciprocity is a word that we are very fond of within Amplify. It, in a nutshell, means it's our ethical obligations to care for, restore, and protect the land and resources that in turn support our existence. This goes back into making sure that future generations are able to utilize the resources we have today and that completely support our existence and thusly will support their existence. So Amplify Cayman is, our main goal, like I said, is to empower people. So we have an outline of what the PACT government has committed to do to remind people to hold their government accountable to their commitments and work with government, rather than just being on the sidelines and saying, oh, there's no action. It's about, this is an opportunity to start a partnership bridge of sorts between the community and the government who is ready to listen and act and hear the plights, and breaking down sort of the adversarial feelings that the community has built up, understandably due to inaction over several decades, and getting people to understand that it's a team effort. We all have to collectively understand our role in it. We can't all do the same thing. We are all different. We all bring different skills to the set. But like I alluded to earlier, we do have an obligation to future generations to stand firm in this. It's not just a matter of, when I find the time, I'll write to my MP. No, you have to keep the pressure on. You have to keep an understanding of what's going on in your community in order to advocate for it. People protect what they love. So we want to encourage people to support the leadership that will support the people. So a big concept that we explore in the sustainability charter is the nested interdependence model, which is very different from the status quo where these three are balanced more equally. The nested interdependence model is very different in that it breaks down that in order to have a healthy economy, you must have a healthy community, which can only be healthy with a healthy environment. So when we invest in our environment, thusly we invest in our community, and thusly we have a healthy, circular, balanced local economy that they all just feed into one another. But right now, as it stands, when we focus on economy at the detriment of community, or at the detriment of environment, we undermine our community and thusly our economy. So it's really important that we get to a new understanding of what we must do to ensure that we are balancing our growth appropriately. So in the People's Sustainability Charter, we ask people to subscribe to different principles. We acknowledge that we each have a moral and social responsibility to make Cayman and the world a better place for current and future generations, as an example. Understanding the different aims to meet the needs of present generations without jeopardizing the ability of future generations to meet their own, and it breaks down the different facets of the nested interdependence model, which we have to focus on equally in a sense of importance to ensure that they are balanced. We can't just focus on growing the economy and not pay as equal attention to ensuring that our society is developed healthily and our environment is being cared for, as another example. So it's easy to say that the challenges to the three pillars, economic and social and environmental challenges, require local and global action. These calls, like I said, are amazing opportunities to do that. So once again, I'd like to thank Cayman Connect for uniting the different organizations on today's call, and inspiring hopefully everybody on who's listening to the call to go forth and use their professions for the greater good, and to commit to incorporating the 3 pillars of sustainability into whatever it is they do, to wherever they can, relying on the model of nested interdependence when it comes to decision making. That can be applied in so many different ways. It doesn't have to be a policy. It could be an individual saying, you know what, I'm going to plant, and my entire yard is going to be a garden of food rather than just gravel, for example, because now I want to save that money that I would have spent on food, for example, and it's feeding into different their health, their family's health, local economy's health. You know, you're relying on different neighbors for plants and whatnot. Overall, getting back to our roots is kind of what we're trying to achieve, but you know, with modern technology in a way that helps us move forward. We want to ask people to commit to ensuring, like I said, that elected officials and decision makers are held accountable, and encourage people to participate in their own democracy, however that looks like in the moment. It's not a black and white, you know, just write to your MP answer. It can be multiple things. So Amplify Cayman frequently publishes calls to action that allow people to, for example, copy paste a message on a particular topic that they may feel an opinion on, whether that be in their area, whether they even be a resident in Cayman. They might be a long-term tourist. You know, we get messages from people all over the world who write to us concerned about the environment, the state of the environment in Cayman, because they've been visiting us for donkey years, as we say in Cayman. You know, and we want to make sure that wherever possible that we can do that. We can allow people to participate in their own democracy. In 2020, we did a voter registration drive, got something about 1,000 people registered. We assisted with that, and that's an example of how we help people to participate in their own democracy as well. So we also, like I said, we seek to empower people towards environmental sustainability, achieving the SDGs through community outreach via non-formal education, awareness raising, and through our collective actions, with the aim to inspire folks to get active in the fields of sustainability and climate, environmental, and socioeconomic justice movements. We frequently say this in Amplify, that the time is now. We've missed the mark. We subscribed to an environmental charter 20 years ago that we have barely met the obligations of, and that's a big driver of the People's Sustainability Charter, was the fact that we noticed that the environmental charter that had been subscribed to by the Cayman Islands was not being upheld, and it was at the very strong detriment of the community and environment, which we rely on to survive. In our humblest of opinions, human survival should not be a debate, but if it's going to be, then so be it. Here's the charter. So we include some key points and initiatives when it comes to sustainability in Cayman, and how we can deliver those from different perspectives. So whether that be policy that prioritizes conservation, restoration and stewardship of nature, that could be through creating job opportunities to clean up plastics on the beach, as an example. Empowering the community through a sense of national pride and unity. We seek to prioritize equity, education, participation, and accessibility, because like I said, it's all well and good to bring, have solutions in place, but unless they're accessible, they're pointless. Accessible to the majority of people, it might not have the intended effect, I should say. So Amplify Cayman, through our network, also seeks to create partnerships regionally and globally, and we've been featured in a lot of regional publications, our host Eden today does a lot of other hosting on a wonderful show called Territories Talk Weekly, which is uniting the different overseas territories in the region to talk about issues that affect us all. And it's interesting how many parallels come out of those talks on a wide range of topics, not just environmental, but equal rights, social justice, just many different parallels. And it's a common theme that overall the overseas territories need unity and need to have a united voice when it comes to advocating for themselves. So Amplify Cayman hopes to, like I said, feed into that in whatever way we can. So that's the conclusion of the charter. Going back to who Amplify Cayman is we are a public advocacy group for sustainability that is composed of local professionals and community members, and in collaboration, in partnership with nonprofit organizations. I would love to take this opportunity to thank every single beautiful human who contributed so much time and effort into putting the People's Sustainability Charter. This is something that a lot of people in Cayman, since its publication last September, oh my gosh, we might actually be on a year, coming up to a year now, Eden. Yeah, so it's
very soon. 27th
the time has flown. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. And with the release of the charter, we've gotten a lot of people who have subscribed to the principles that I talked about earlier, and who are very keen to learn how they can contribute to the conversation. And to that end, I'd like to say, if anybody on this call or anybody who watches this afterwards would like to use to contribute their professional skills, experience, their community advocacy, networking abilities, whatever it is, if you want to contribute to Amplify and what we try to do in the community, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are on Facebook. We have our website, which is www.amplifycayman.com, and you can see our charter at amplify.com/charter. And I encourage you to subscribe to it. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Like I said, even if we don't have the answers, we have a wide enough network and humility to reach out and try to get those answers, because at the end of the day, it's about a collective vision, and we are all just no longer here for it to be a debate, because it's not a debate. Our survival matters, and the survival of our beautiful island matters. Whether it's for humans or animals, it matters. And so with that being said, I'd like to thank you all once again. Thank you so much, Eden, Cayman Connection. Anybody has any questions, please feel free to shout out.
Thank you so much, Emily, and for presenting the charter. I like to think that everyone is a member of Amplify Cayman. They might just not know it yet.
Yes.
And so really, we've helped to kind of put a magnifying lens on a lot of different issues. Like Emily said, taking things like Facebook comments, taking things like chat group comments, and being able to synthesize them and distill them into presentations from everything from the Little Cayman overwater bungalow development, when there was a huge amount of community pressure about that, and we were able to join up with a national trust that was taking action over there and formulate a letter, and a formal letter that allowed people who might not otherwise have the ability to weigh in on the conversation to put their thoughts forward. Our very first project ever was a letter talking about the domestic partnership bill that was before Parliament in 2020, and that was actually our first initiative that we launched from. So it's not just about dealing with the environment, it's about taking people who might be marginalized in our community, people who feel like they might not have a voice, and being able to put a microphone up to them and let their points be known on a wider scale to the general public, to people who are other advocates who might be able to help them out specifically, and as well to policymakers. And so those things are published on our website. There's going to be some updates on the website, and there's going to be a little more action about putting some wheels under the charter here as we go into year 2 of the charter happening, and we continue to evolve Amplify Cayman. Another good example would be the letters written on behalf of some development projects that have been come forward where people are outside of the radius. And by having an organization to be able to reach the decision makers and the relevant agencies, we've been able to give voice to people who are concerned about coastal development, for instance, but are locked out of the 1,000-foot radius that are going on for major coastal developments and things like that. We believe that everyone should have a right, an ability to weigh in. For everyone from the most down-home, homegrown, multi-generational Caymanian fishermen, right up to, like Emily talked about, our visitors who've been visiting us for 25 years and are, concerned about the direction that this country has taken and what they've seen happen over the time that they've been visiting here. So check out the charter and sign on to it. And like I said, if you have an initiative, a project that is going on that you would like to see amplified, we really, what we want to do is turn all of Cayman and everyone who loves Cayman into one big think tank to be able to come up with doable solutions to address the incredible challenges that are going on in this era. So thank you so much to you, Emily, and for all the incredible work you do. And thank you so much to Cayman Connection and to the amazing people who have been on this call today.